This kind of net issues, it happens very frequently with us during our show. Dr. Costa is here. So good to see you.
Hello,
So, how are you?
I'm fine. Thanks for
Yeah,
inviting.
yeah. Even we have been waiting for you to discuss with you. So good to see. Suddenly we appeared. I'm just expecting this. Thank you so much for fixing the
uh,
problem, because we have promised our viewers that we will discuss a very good topic with you today. So let's
yeah,
not
yeah,
waste. Yeah, so let's not waste more time.
yeah,
So I want to introduce our first guest of the live show to all the viewers. He's Mr. Dr. Kaustubh Saharia, and he's from Assam. He has done his MBBS from Guwahati Medical College, and right now he is pursuing his post graduation from orthopedics in the Department of Orthopedics from Guwahati Medical College itself. So he is going to talk. We are going to discuss on the very top, the hot topic right now. It's the very hot topic, which is the COVID-19. And inside the COVID-19, it's like we're going to talk about many facts today. So I welcome you to our today's show, Dr. Costa.
thanks a lot for inviting, Smriti.
Thank you
So,
so much for taking out time. They are very much busy with their work, and Dr. Kostov also did his like COVID duty, right? You were
yeah,
in the
isolation
COVID,
ward duty
yeah.
from MSH.
He was the COVID duty. He has seen the COVID patients. He has treated those patients, and he was like the front line, the real
Yeah,
meaning of the front line, which we always say. So he is here today. So Dr.
it's really kind of you to say that, actually. So,
Uh, yes,
hmm,
that's what exactly. So I just appreciate for all the effort that you guys have been doing so far. So Dr.
yeah,
Kostov, let's not waste more time, and I will
yeah,
just
yeah,
yeah. As we know that the COVID pandemic is there from since past year, since like this
yeah,
November, December thing, it's there since then. So I just
yeah.
want to know from you in brief about the origin of this virus, like this coronavirus. How did it originate? In brief, can you just tell us about it?
Yeah, actually, many people who are like non-medicals are joining in this like show. So, like, I will not over-exaggerate things. I will not use many medical terms so that they can understand. I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. So, this is the coronavirus is actually is not a new thing. Like it has many strains. So so it has infected and it is still within us. Like there are like 7 strains of coronaviruses. So four strains were from previously they were there, like they were non-infective. They cause common flus and all. So they are like not very infective kind of. They don't cause severe illness. But 3 strains which we have recently encountered, like SARS in 2002 and MARS in 2012, and this 2019 we got to see this COVID-19. Like the COVID-19 has come from 2019. So it's a family of coronaviruses, and slightly I'll tell briefly about this structure of the virus. It is actually an RNA virus. Like people from science background will like have basic idea about this thing. So it is a RNA virus with envelope and nucleocapsids. So actually these are zoonotic viruses. They mostly infect the animals. So these are mainly subdivided into subtypes like alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and all that. So this alpha and beta strains are mainly found in this bats and rodents mainly, and this gamma delta types are like from the avian, like those birds and all. So they mostly cause like a simple respiratory enteric hepatic, that's like affect livers, gut, or any respiratory cause illnesses and all that in this pigs, cows, chickens, dogs, and cats. But due to some kind of mutations, like mutations in their genetic configurations and all that, they can infect our human body. So, like from like past few years, they have caused many mutations. So by that, they have been able to infect humans, and only those three strains that I have mentioned till now, like this SARS, MERS, and this now COVID-19, they have already got some highlights till now. Otherwise, like they don't cause much of like this severe distress kind of thing. They don't actually. They cause milder kind of infections like common colds, which are self-limiting or upper respiratory tract infections mostly. And actually, this envelope structure, it is a very fragile virus actually. So it is quite preventable due to this envelope structures, which is like in chemistry we say it is of lipid proteins, lipids and lipid membrane plus proteins, like, and it has spike glycoproteins all over the envelope. From that, actually, the term corona has come. It has like crown-like appearance. All spikes are there all over the virus. So we get the term crown, corona there, which means crown-like appearance. And this envelope, like we can. So that's why we are advised to apply sanitizers and use soaps and alcohol, because of this lipid nature. Like we can, they are very fragile actually. So they get killed by this application.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, it's like this virus, because of the mutations, it has been causing infections in the humans, right? That
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
mentioned. Yeah. Because of the mutations that it is causing, and yeah, it is the same virus that was it is the same virus, no, that belong to the same family that you have mentioned, like to the like Middle East virus and the SARS
yeah,
virus, right?
yeah.
So
That's right.
you said, Dr. Kostev, you just said that it is preventable. This disease, the
Mm.
virus that is causing the disease, it's preventable. So that's why I
Yeah.
guess government is implementing such kind of lockdown thing and social distancing, right,
Mm.
to
Yeah.
keep the people away from each other, and so that it can prevent us, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Completely
yeah, that's,
true. Actually, the thing is, it is completely preventable if it is done in a right way. Like, actually, we are seeing so much of this outburst of cases. Like, we see lots of cases nowadays because, like, people are not well acquainted with this norms. Actually, mostly we get people from the labor class, or even the educated people are not following the norms.
norms.
It is not that they don't want to follow, but they are ignorant about the fact that how actually it is mostly infective, that it infects people so much, but it is not very severe. It doesn't cause much severe infections in most of the cases. Like 1 to 2% fatality rate. Fatality rate is like it causes deaths.
Yeah,
So
the
mostly
mortality
it is,
rate.
yeah,
Yeah.
mortality rate is very less. That's why like people are maybe ignoring this fact. So government is imposing, the government is forced to impose lockdown because like this lockdown will create the social distancing which the people are ignoring. So at least we have to follow the norms, like we should maintain a gap of 1 meter while talking to, or like any dealings with patient or any person, other person. Right now we have to consider every other person as a contact. So
That's a
mostly
very important thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So like the cases that I have seen mostly in my COVID ward duty, so mostly the patients were asymptomatic. So like asymptomatic means like they won't show any symptoms. They don't have symptoms. They will be like a normal person, but they are carriers. They can carry the infection and they can give it to someone else. So this is actually, it is more concerned. We should be more concerned about this thing. So that's what. We should try to be more cautious about all these facts. And also one more thing I would like to mention is
Yes.
The improper ways of using the mask, whatever I have seen people around, or even my OPDs, like people wear masks just like as if we are forcing them to wear mask, or it's like a formality for them. So actually, that is what we have to create awareness, like how to use the mask and all. So mask has to cover the nose and up to the chin. So both nose and the mouth has to be covered, and it is not possible for everyone to get the N95 mask, which provides around
Right.
95% protection, which is the standard WHO is giving, that we have to use the N95 mask. So
Right.
it is not possible for everyone to get the N95 mask. So
Yeah.
like yeah, even the people who can't get all of this N95 mask can use the cloth mask, which are usable, and they can use it. So it's not a they have to do all this kind of things and wash their hands, and
Mhm.
use sanitizers after contacts and all. So it's very important.
Yeah, so Dr. Kaustav have said so many important points. I hope our viewers are following this. So many people have this idea. I will just take a minute, Dr. Kaustav, to just say a few things to our viewers in between. So many people
Yeah.
have that notion in their mind that government is implementing such things. They are asking us to maintain social distance, be at home in the lockdown situation. People are thinking that that's for the government. That's not for the government. I would say it's for everybody who is there in this planet. It's for
Yeah.
everybody. It's for, yeah. Just Dr. Kostev said he is in the actual meaning of frontline. So he has seen such cases. So please do not take these things for granted, because I have seen people. Lockdown means a thing that, oh no, we are in lockdown. What will happen? It is for your good. You'll have to understand these things. So many good points we have just got to know. So I'd just like to go to the next question, which is another
Yeah.
important. So we know that Dr. Kostov, like this virus, it affects the respiratory system, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it affects the respiratory system. So like it, how does it affect, or like how does
Mm.
it affect the body? What happens? Like doctors would know, the health
Mm.
professionals would somehow know. They go through all these things. But the layman, for the layman, if you can just elaborate all this for our viewers also, so how does it
Mm.
affect the body?
Actually, I am from a orthopedic background, so mostly I am working with bones, and also even I am not the best person to explain about all these things, but still I would try, like whatever
Yes.
information I have gathered, I would try to simplify the people like who are not medicos. So like the structure of virus, actually after mutation, there's few glycoprotein spikes that I have mentioned. These are actually the receptors. These are like receptors which are attached to the cells of the human body. So actually they are meant to attach to like these bats or civets or pangolins. So this things after mutation, this whatever the receptors I have mentioned, they attach to the alveolar cells, alveoli, the epithelial cells of the alveoli. This through some receptors in this alveoli, which are like I would try to mention it, but people don't get it. So
But
I'll
alveolar
yeah.
system, we
Yeah,
can just yeah.
mainly they go through our respiratory tract through nose, then like our other parts of the respiratory tract directly into the lungs, to the last part of the lung, that is where the exchange of gases take place. These are the alveoli. So alveoli have those epithelial cells. So in those epithelial cells, there are receptors. These receptors provide anchorage to this virus. Actually, after that, this virus releases this RNA. These are actually RNA viruses that I have already mentioned. This RNA virus, viruses are they depend on the host virus for their multiplication. So they multiply inside a host virus. Otherwise, they would like you won't know the virus exists or not. So
Okay.
they will go to the epithelial cells. After that, they will multiply and all. So
Okay.
there, they use our own system, and they will multiply there, and they will release the virus in abundance. So again, they will go and infect. Like this, actually, they can like cause symptoms and all that. If a patient is is having very strong immune system, the immune system will try to come up and stop the virus. But sometimes even the immune system might cause our damage, like the inflammatory reactions which the immune system will like hit with the virus. So that will cause some kind of this fibrosis and all that. I'll not use much of the medical term. Like
That's not.
even yeah, that might cause the lungs alveoli to fibrose, and that might also lead to the respiratory distress. So like our immune system, like viral infection is mostly dependent on the immune system of the patient. So it is highly stressed that we have to eat good food and avoid the infections and all. So mostly the people with good immune system, mainly the young age groups, are like they don't show symptoms because of having a good immune system.
Yeah.
But people more than 60 years or with some comorbidities, like if he is hypertensive or diabetic or any other disease like cancer and all, so they have to be like extra cautious.
Yeah. So basically, what if we like to keep it in, very short, like the asymptomatic that you have told about, that the young people, they are asymptomatic, they don't show any symptoms. It's because of the immune system, right? Like the immune
Yeah,
system of the, yeah, immune system of the young patients, younger generation, they are able to fight back, and because they are not able to show the symptoms, so that's why Dr. Kosakian said earlier also, we have to consider each and every person that we meet to be a patient carrying the virus, right? That you mentioned.
yeah, yeah.
So we are
So
getting,
we won't
yeah,
know like what hit us actually. So that's the problem. We won't know. We have to like the community transmission uh, has just begun. So we
yeah,
can't like so many cases. We are getting like so many cases each day from Guwahati. So we
yeah.
have to be extra cautious about it, like while dealing with the people. So government has like enacted this lockdown to break the chain of transmission at least. Otherwise, like people are not maintaining that social distancing norms and whatever we really need to do. Like they are afraid of the police men, so they are using the bars. That is not the issue. So
That's true. That's
that
true.
should not
That's
be.
true. Yeah, it also depends on the people, to maintain. That's why
Yeah.
government is implementing such things. So just go to the next question. Like Dr. Kaustubh, if you can tell me, is there any relation of the COVID to age and gender? Because it is always said that it affects men more than the women. It's something like that. What is there any relation between the age and the gender?
Yeah, it's a good question actually. But so as far as I could gather the information from like reliable sources like WHO pages and all, so
Yes.
it's a very the studies are not so proper to say anything about this issue. So we don't have much studies with us that we can like surely tell that if men are more affected. So like one study is there in WHO website, like 58% of men are infected. So even it should consider the geographical climates and all. So that is not being considered in that study. So further studies will be done, which will like confirm this thing that the gender thing, whatever you have asked, like male or female. So for now, we can consider that male and female are equally infected. And about the age, as I have already mentioned, the rate of infection is equal in both. So it's not that it can infect people of any age, but the severity of infection is different. Like
Okay. Okay. So the severity of infection is different, but yeah, it can also affect the young age also. It can affect the female, males. It can like it has now become like it can infect anybody. The
yeah,
scenario
yeah,
it
it
has,
can infect.
yeah, it can infect anybody. So yes. Man, another question would be that in the media we had here so much of speculations, I would say, that coronavirus, there was so much in the like few months back, there are so much speculations like coronavirus, this virus, when the temperature would be more, then this virus will definitely die. It was there in the media, and even I have also seen the, yeah, I've seen that news. So what's your take on it? Like, what you want to say about it? Is it something related to temperature? Is it will just die if the temperature increases? Is it like that?
No, no. Till now, whatever evidence we have, like whatever the information I could gather, there is nothing like that. So it has affected almost all the countries. Even India is a tropical country. So we have extremes of temperature. But people are getting equally infected everywhere. So there is nothing like that it has infected all parts of the countries everywhere. Cold countries like Italy and all, every place has got infected equally. So there's nothing like that.
Nothing like that. Yeah, because it says that India is the temperature of the India is much more than the countries
Yeah,
like.
it was
Yeah,
speculated that way that India will be
yeah.
hit somewhat less by this coronavirus, but we are seeing so many of the cases, so there is nothing like that as far as.
Yeah. Okay. So going to the next question, some signs and symptoms. Symptoms, I would say, signs. There is a difference between the signs and symptoms. Yes, the medical professionals will definitely know, but the normal viewers would not know it. So can you just enlighten us with some signs and symptoms that we can just recall whenever we go outside, and just if you see some patients, if we encounter people, then we should keep it in our mind. So please, can you tell us about it?
Like we have to consider as of now we can rely on signs and symptoms, but still fever is a sign which is not very reliable. We can have cold, sore throat, or even diarrhea, body ache. These are symptoms actually. uh, Not very reliable. All the symptoms are even people with asymptomatic cases are have been found to be COVID positive. So these are signs like fever, sore throat, we'll have pain over the throat. We have cough and all that with sputum. Actually, the cough is dry cough is mostly suspected,
Yeah,
and there's a myalgia, which is like body ache. So these things are
yeah.
signs and symptoms which we can rely on.
We
We can
cannot.
get medical help.
Yeah. So yes, signs and symptoms we have talked about. So then going to the next question would be treatment. So it is said that there is no specific treatment, but yet you are treating the patients, like you are treating them. You are just there to treat them. So how you are treating? What kind of medicines? If you can just tell us about. There's so many medicines that are in the media right now. Hydroxychloroquine, certain hydroxychloroquine now, so many antivirals which are there. So just can you please tell us about it
So
in brief?
I'll be very specific about the treatment because whatever I have seen, I can tell you about that only. So whatever I have done in my posting in MMCH,
Yes.
I have seen whatever the medicine people are giving out treatment. That is they give symptomatic treatment. If the patient is having fever, they will give paracetamol and some fluid resuscitation ORS and all. Or otherwise, if the patient is showing some other symptoms like cough and all, they will give antibiotics like azithromycin, doxycycline, and all that. So mostly the asymptomatic cases were there. So they have been giving mild kind of treatment. Whatever their complaint will be, the treatment will be like that. So
Okay.
if they are having fever, they will get paracetamol. If they are having cough and all, so they will get cough medications and antibiotics maybe. So
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, the basically means the treatment depends on the symptoms of the patient. Whatever symptoms they
yeah.
will show, the treatment would be according. So this point should be noted. I just wanted to say because common people won't be able to go into the ward that the doctors are treating. So we don't know what kind of treatment they are getting giving to the patient. So this is what we are just trying to know, that the treatment of the patient depends on the symptoms of the patients. So it's a very
like
important.
even the treatment part, the dischargeability criteria, the way we discharge the patient, that is actually more important than the treatment. So mostly the patients are not symptomatic. So
Yeah.
we will what is done here is we repeat the test after 7 to 10 days of being asymptomatic for 3 days minimum. So if the
Yeah.
patient is asymptomatic, like he is not showing symptoms for last 3 days, after being tested positive, he will be tested after 7 to 10 days. So then he will, if it is tested negative, he will be discharged. Or if it is he is symptomatic, he is showing all the signs and symptoms, then we'll repeat the swab after 14 days. So if it is negative, then and he is not showing any symptoms for last 3 days, then we can discharge the patient actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, the discharge criteria also depends and also is different, and also the treatment also varies.
Yeah.
So the next question I would just like to ask you is that you are a frontline COVID warrior. So
Yeah.
please share your experience. Like those 14 days, I guess you were in the ward,
Well,
and
it was actually 7 days of this. Our posting was for 7 days, isolation ward posting. So after that, we got quarantine for 14 days. Actually.
what massive. So please share your that experience. You ordered PP kit where we see in the news in the media that they got doctors wear that PP kits, and I have seen that there was an image where I saw that the wrinkles on the hands of the doctors, and I just got very emotional seeing that, because I belong to the same profession, but although I'm not the frontline, but you guys are doing the job of being the frontliner. Please share your that experience of wearing that PP kit and how does it feel. I hope our viewers even too want to know about it. So please
Yeah.
share your experience.
Actually, the thing is, all my doctor fellows who have done these duties, I will be speaking for all of them, sir, because they are not joining the conversation. So for them, it is not easy to be in a PP kit for like 8 long hours. So we don't drink water, we don't go to bathrooms and all. So for 8 long hours, you can't even touch your face, even if it itches and all. So it is very difficult, and the walking with the facial and all, which gets foggy while walking for few hours or few minutes even, and dealing with the patients, asking their complaints, and then providing them treatment. It is not actually easy, but still it, because of the motivation of treating the patients, which remained within us, so we could do it actually. So it's a great feeling to be contributing to such a noble cause actually.
Yeah, so I hearing that only I am getting that thing in my mind. It would be so difficult to be in that PP kit and that be in that ward for 8 long hours. So yeah, just tell us about that isolation ward that the patients you deal with the patients. Just tell us in brief about it. Ward. We can't go inside that ward, but you people were there. Just please say something.
Yeah, actually, what I have seen, I'll be able to tell that only. So I did my duty in MSCH, so around hundreds of patients were there. So so we have to deal with complaints of everyone. So there were 2 floors, which where the patients were, ground floor and the second floor. So we have to go first to their donning and doffing room actually. So donning rooms are the room where you go and wear your PPE kit. So there you have to be very careful about there are steps actually you have to follow while wearing the PPE now. So after wearing the PPE, you go, then the patients get admitted, and then we take the history from the patients, what whether they had any contact with the other patients, their age, name, and any other illness they are having, or family members. Everything we get to know from them, and then these are transmitted over telephone network to like our authorities. So after that, what our work is to like deal with the patient's treatment, whatever is guided to us, and also with that we get to do some investigations, blood investigations and all. So those are the mostly works we do, and we are guided from our team, which is outside the like isolation ward. So that is what like we do there. So after staying for 8 long hours, and then we go to doffing room, and where we like take out our PP after wearing for some hours. So that is where we have to be even more careful than like wearing the PP, because we are already infected. We have all the we have touched the infected patients and all. So there we like take out the PP, we sterilize ourselves, and then we go to our rooms and all. This is what in concise what I can tell you.
So you are in a very risky task that you have been allotted, and thank you so much. So whatever I think whatever important points that are required to know at this point of time, and Dr. Kostav has elaborately discussed all the points with all our viewers, and I hope he has tried to elaborate in a very layman term, which is not using any different kind of medical terms, whatever possible. So thank you so much, Dr. Costa, for sharing all your experiences, all your knowledge. You took out time. You are in the quarantine, but yes, you are in the middle of your duty hours also. So thank you so much for joining today. So at the end, after sharing all those knowledge with us, what
My
is
pleasure.
your thank you so much, and a message to all the people around, all the people who are watching also, and who will watch our show on later on also. Any message, a very important message to all the people.
Like I don't have much to tell after like, but still in case I can tell them to be very careful about dealing with the people going to the market, or like don't go to places where social gatherings are there. Like try to avoid all those places. Wash your hands. Use sanitizers. Like they are very safe to do that, and like be extra careful about dealing with the people, and use the mask properly. So this is all what I can advise, and take great care of the people who are more than 60 years old, or like those have any other medical diseases. Like you have to be extra careful. Eat your food well, and even if you're getting your foods from other place, like you're ordering and eating them, then just be careful. Get it warm again, and then throw out the plastics and all. Then warm it again. Then have the food. And coming from a place outside where you have been in social gatherings, be very careful about like entering the room. Don't enter with the infected belongings. Like try to keep the shoes outside, wash your clothes and all. So, and proper use of mask, actually. That is what I would like to advise them.
Thank you so much. From all the viewers, I just want to thank you for joining us today. Literally, like it is said, I have said that God is not there, but God is there in this world in the form of doctors, and here we have heard this story or his experience, his COVID experience, his duties, whatever he has done. So thank you so much, Dr. Costa, for joining today. And we have our next guest also, Dr. Sriparna. I hope you would be there to listen to her talk also. It would be a very good show. So thank you so much.
Thanks for inviting.
Yeah. It's a very need of the hour to talk to the frontline workers, to know their story, to know what is there, what's actually going on there, to know their story, and to and just a huge respect from all of us. So thank you so much. Yeah, and we just look forward to again collaborate with you and talk in some other topics, whatever is required.
Yeah, sure. Like I have my friends from my department who are like actually interested. Like Dr. Jugantar Roy, he's like a former JDA president. So he will be like, I think he will be very interested in coming to a show. Like, I'll especially want to, I want to recommend his name
Please
for
do
like being in a show.
if you and
He's very enthusiastic, actually.
thank you
Like,
so much, Dr. Kaustav, for recommending.
he's a good speaker, and like.
Thank you so much. I will take his details from you again to
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll be
I'll just
suggesting.
thank you so much. He has been recommending these. So thank you so much, Dr. Kaustav. Take care and be safe. You also be safe. You are in the front line in there. So be safe. Take care of yourself. Bye. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
So we had concluded our first show, and I hope you guys have enjoyed in the sense we have got a lot of information which is required to know at this point of time. So we have our next show from it is supposed to be from 8 p.m. So I'll just start with the next show. But what I just want to say is that there is a limit of 1 hour in the Instagram. So after 1 hour, the IGTV, it just abruptly ends. So please, whenever this abruptly ends, be here with us and do not leave the show thinking that the live is over. No, it's not like that. Thank you, Shubham. Thank you so much. It's my honor, I would say, and I'm getting that strength to do something good for the people. So I'm just bringing our next guest. Our next guest is here, Dr. Sri Parna.
Hi, Smriti.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me over.
Thank you so much for joining us. So I just want to introduce Dr. Sri Parna to our guest. So we concluded our first show. Now beginning with the next show of the next session of this show. Today here right in front of us we have Dr. Sri Parna Bhattacharya. She is she did her MBBS from Jorhat Medical College, and she currently is pursuing her post graduation in the Department of Psychiatry. So she is going to be she would be a psychiatrist. So good to see you. So this session is again going to be some another interesting session, because as we have said, Dr. Sri Parna is going to talk today about mental health. Mental health we'll talk about so many things, but mental health in per se, I would say. So yes, it is very important I thought it is very important to talk about this thing at this point of time, because since the death of Sushant Singh Rajput, people it is flooded in the social media about depression and thus and this and all that. But it's not about only the depression. There are so many things other than the depression which comes under the mental health issues. So it's very important to know about it. And it's not, I feel like that why we are talking about depression and all things right now, because someone from the Bollywood have died. But there are a lot many students, there are a lot many people who are committing suicide. Before Sushant's death, there are so many people died. One of a girl from Jorhat, she just passed her 10th. After her result, she committed suicide because she was not expecting her result to be in that way. So it is something which should have been talked earlier, and it is important that we should keep on talking it later also.
Yes.
So yeah, without wasting further time, so Dr. Sri Parna, welcome you again to our show. So let's get with the first question. So I just want to know mental health in brief. We know about physical health. Now let's talk about mental health today first. In brief, just tell us about it.
Mental health is something to do with mind, as it can already be known with the word mental. The incidence of this mental health, where to begin from? I'll just start from the Indian scenario. So one of the recent articles which was published in the recent renowned Lancet journal in the 2020 issue states that in India, approximately some 197 million people suffer from mental illness, that is disease of the mind or disease of the brain. So out of that, around 40 45.7 million suffer from depression, which happens to be the most common of the mental illness. So now this means 1 out of every 7 Indian is suffering from some kind of mental illness. So you know the burden of the mental illness. Unfortunately, since the symptoms of mental illness doesn't show manifestation, any kind of bodily manifestation, most of the time people don't consider it as any kind of illness. So yeah, that's mental illness brief.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a very important thing that we got to know that out of 7, 1%, one individual in India is suffering from some kind of mental issue. So if I consider that I have a family of 7 people, then out of 7, one is suffering from mental health. So
Yes.
likewise, you people can also, I just want to talk to our viewers that likewise you can also relate, like if you have a family of 10 or 7, just see whoever is suffering from such kind of, any kind of mental health, right? So yes, it's very important to talk about it, and we have talked about the Indian scenario also. So like Dr. Sripanna, there is a stigma. There is a stigma that if we consult a psychiatrist, if we go to a counselor, in fact, let it be forget about going to a psychiatrist, even if a counselor or a psychiatrist, people think that you're some kind of, you've gone mad. Like you are in the layman we say pagal, which we said it is person has got mad, and so that's what going to a psychiatrist. So being a psychiatrist, what's your take on it? So is it something like that if we go to a psychiatrist and we will be considered a mad person?
See that the lack of knowledge or misinformation that forms a huge barrier to coming out and seeking treatment, because you know what, lack of knowledge and this misinterpretation, this will lead to ignorance. So out of ignorance, most people are not even aware they're having some kind of illness. They just let it off. And then on top of that, there is this socio-cultural phenomena of this name tagging and all. People will say in common word, "bhute dhue se, prete dhue se," and then they won't even consider it as an illness. They'll not come to a doctor like that. And then there's another stigma from like from from I don't know, from ages it has been considered that if you are having some kind of mental illness, you are unfit for society, unfit to be with somebody else, and therefore your value in the society has reduced.
Yeah.
You are having some kind of illness. So that also, I think that also prevents a major chunk of the patients to come out and seek treatment. Obviously, there are other factors like lack of infrastructure, lack of professionals in our country. Even now, the number of psychiatrists per population is still very less than what it is supposed to be. So all these factors, most important of knowledge, these are the main important factor which prevents somebody from coming out and taking treatment. And this ignorance further leads to stigmatization, because
Yeah.
people tend to stigmatize that something regarding which they do not have proper information.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, that
basically, yeah. So basically, the lack of knowledge and lack of information, because of which people consider that it is a stigma, but actually it is not, right? So and because of the lack of psychiatrists, also as it is said that there is lack of dentists per population, so there is also lack of doctors also. Even the
absolutely.
even the other professions or health professionals, so there lack of doctors. So from now on, if you're thinking that if anybody is thinking that they are having some kind of issue, any mental issue, any kind of mental problem, any sadness, depression, whatever it is, then definitely you can go and consult a psychiatrist. There's no harm in consulting. It's not a stigma. Who is going to think? Ultimately, you will suffer.
Yeah, and then yeah, that lack of knowledge and this thing na, that gives a wrong perception on the minds of people. So if you just consider your mental illness as any other physical illness, if you're considering that brain is also as important as any other part of the body, if
Right.
you start thinking in that way, probably that becomes a lot more easier for you to understand mental illness as a biological problem, biological issue. It has nothing to do with some god or curse or your society. It has certain extent, society and our social conditions do impact the occurrence of mental illness. But then at the end of the day, it is mental illnesses, majority of the mental illnesses have their basis, have a biological basis. If people
Yeah.
start seeing, if people have that knowledge and they start viewing mental illness as a form of biological disease which has a biological basis and is like any other illness of the body, like as in liver, kidney, probably that kind of view will help them to come out and seek treatment.
Yeah.
Or somebody they know, they might help them to bring them to a specialist,
Yes.
like that.
So it's basically the lack of awareness also, because people, I think, right now people, the doctors also right now, people have, because of the social media, because of change in the lifestyle. I think people are even the doctors also have started reaching out to people and talking about the awareness, I guess. But earlier it was not possible, and I think not many people have tried. I feel this, but it's not like that also. Not people have not tried to talk about it, to create awareness about it. Like we have created awareness about physical health, that if you do not take calcium, your bones will be weaker. If,
Absolutely.
yeah, if you take alcohol more, your liver, there'll be cirrhosis. But what about the brain? What about your mental health? And I would say, what about the oral health also? These are the two things which people, they ignore it. They don't bother to think about it. What I feel is they do not bother to think about it. So this is the time to
Yeah.
create, yeah, awareness. And like the psychiatrists, like who you, like you people are doing great job to like you agreeing to participate in such kind of
See,
awareness
we
program.
have come a long way. I'd like to say we have come a long way from where we were a few decades back in terms of awareness. I mean to say that the government has started so many programs at the national as well as district level. There are national mental health program, district level mental health program. So these are in place. They are there. They are partaking. They are carrying out so many activities under these programs to spread awareness. And then now we have social media also, this content creator and all. So they are also coming up with some life for yourself. Like you are coming up, you are talking with people who know about the illness or some other person. They're creating content which are like spreading, which are helping spread the awareness about mental illness, like that. So yeah, I think we have come a long way from where we were, like in the yesteryears, but still we have a long way to go. And then there are these positive celebrity endorsement, like Deepika Padukone. She has come out and talked about her
Yes.
depression and all. And then this has definitely motivated a lot more people to come ahead and then speak about their own problems and all. So I wouldn't say that we are totally ignoring our mental health and we are in a very bad position. It's not
There's
like that.
one, yeah.
We have come a long way, but then we have a longer way to go
Go. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
pursuing your mental
Yeah.
health, like
Yes.
this
That.
awareness. Yes. And then there are many other, this we have this International Mental Health Day, Mental Health Awareness Day. It's celebrated on 10th of October every year. It was
Okay.
started by WHO in the year of 1992.
Okay.
So if these kind of initiatives, they really help, they are helping create awareness. Nothing.
Yeah.
Needless to say, we need to reach out to more number of people,
For people.
greater number of people, and
Mm.
via bigger platform, with media, and then we can incorporate schools and all, schools, industry,
Yeah.
factories,
Yes.
these things to create awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, I think that's important. That you very put up a very important point, that since the school time, since the initial days of a child, that he is started to started going to school. Along with, we have seen that there are PT classes, there are yoga classes, but there are no meditation classes. Some kind of, like, there are not kind of any kind of class which, or any teacher who talks about mental health also. Nowadays, we have, as we have put in a very right way, that we have come a long way and a longer way to go. But if this starts from very beginning, just like the pay, just it has started going to school. If these things are inculcated, very
Sorry,
Shripan,
I didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I just your video got stuck for a moment. Were you asking me something?
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
missed
I
it.
was just putting it is something like that. As you have told it, like in the from the school only. The in the school we know that there are PT classes or yoga classes, but there are no classes for doing meditation, or for no classes or no teachers who are talking about how to tackle with the stress, or how to tackle with tensions in a day-to-day life. So if these things are if these people or the teachers, if they start talking from the very initial days of the school days, then I think this is very, it would be much better, I think.
Yeah. Regarding that, these kind of programs are coming up, but now, as of now, they are practiced in very selected few schools. So for anything, any measure to be effective, it has to reach to the masses, to
Yes.
all schools, all kind of schools. As of now, we have it because when I'm saying about school, it's not something which I have created from my own view. It's already in place. But the
Yes,
thing is that only few schools are in place,
that's
and
true.
probably they are a bit in the higher end, if you talk about financially, which has these kind of facilities. So for this practice to be effective, it has to reach maximum classes, maximum schools, majority of the schools across the country. And in what to include and what not to include, even then we have to carefully decide
Right,
what
right.
to be incorporated in the school. So what I feel, what can be at the school level, children can be taught to have better coping skills. Am I making sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely,
to have,
definitely.
yeah. So they should be taught to have better coping skills on how to handle failures and how to handle rejections, because this school has a very major role in shaping up a person's life,
Mm.
and it is this age group that the children are the most impressionable, their mindset. So from this early age group we need to start, and we can start by firstly working on their coping skills, then
Right.
also giving them pointers on what are the signs and symptoms, not in medical terms, not at all, but in the simplest way possible, so that there can be early identification of any kind of disharmony or any kind of abnormality if they are coming across in any like in their friends or anybody they know, like that. And calming techniques, anger, how to manage anger, how to increase their frustration threshold, frustration tolerance. So this
Hmm.
thing can be done at school level. And as for school teachers, even they should be given some kind of special training to notice the deviation of behavior in their students. Some, if out of 100 children, if one is getting deviated from the basic norm of how child should act, so that the teacher should be quick enough to grasp it. For that, they should be given a special separate training, so
Right.
that they can, yeah, time to time. For so these are the things which we can practice in like school level. But then again, having said all this has to be done in majority of the schools across the country for this kind of measure to be effective.
Yeah, and it'll take time also. It will take time also to inculcate all this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it will take time
And
also.
then little steps,
Yeah,
baby steps.
yes, yes, yes. That's the main. That's what. Yes, I mention it everywhere. A
we
little
have,
step forward. A little step forward.
absolutely. We have to begin to be somewhere.
Yes, yes.
We
We have.
have to begin. Only if we start, only then we can see the front end line. If we
Yes, yes.
don't start saying that the end line is too fine, it's not visible, then we are never going to see it anyways. We
Yeah.
need to start little steps.
Yeah, you definitely quote in a very right way that it's Dr. Sripan, I just want to take our IGTV will just abruptly stop in 20 within 20 seconds. I will restart again. Okay, you please join back. There's a
Okay, sure.
limit of 1 hour in the Instagram on Instagram. So I request all the viewers to be here with us. We'll just start. Just within 10 seconds, it will stop. So after that, I'm just again going to start back, and we'll have a discussion.